A common complaint in this modern world can be summarized to this: there isn't enough time to do everything. And that's true. There is not enough time to do everything. So it's our job to decide what is most important to us, because how we spend our time is the direct result of the decisions that we are making and what we have prioritized. And if we want to change how our day flows, then we need to start making different decisions, because we've all heard the saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if you need a little motivation boost, this episode is going to be for you, because we're going to talk about 4 mindset shifts to help you overcome the overwhelm of not being able to do it all.
Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renae Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast.
I have definitely had my share of overwhelming moments over the years of just trying to do everything that I possibly can. And for a long time, it just never seemed to be enough. And I know there are a lot of women that relate to this, that they're feeling the same way. And until I really recognized how I am prioritizing my time and how I can build routines to support how I want to live my life, then I was able to start making shifts and reduce that overwhelm, reduce the stress, get plans in place where I actually have more flexibility. I feel more organized. But the overwhelm of trying to do everything has shifted, because now I realize that it's impossible to do everything. So when we can make some changes and build a system in our life that can support what we are wanting our life to look like versus what is coming at us, we can help determine. It helps us to determine what is most important, and then we can make those decisions knowing that we are prioritizing what is most important, and then we can let the other things go and not feel so much guilt about not getting to those, because I think that's the biggest struggle, is that when we can't get to everything, we feel guilty and we feel like we're failing in some areas. And that is where we need to make these shifts, because not being able to do everything does not mean that you're failing or anything like that. It just means that you're human. It's just that way. There is no person on this earth that is human that can do everything. So some people, yes, appear that they're doing more than others, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know how they're feeling. Somebody might look like they have it all put together and can do everything, but they've got a lot of help in the background. They've got housekeepers and they've got hired help. They've delegated, they've been doing all these different things, or they structure their life in a different way, and there are sacrifices being made. So when we are prioritizing our time, yes, we do have to make sacrifices. So it's going to be up to us to decide what sacrifices we are willing to make and what we are not willing to sacrifice. So that is kind of the shift that we need to make, is to stop feeling guilty and like a failure. We need to just focus on what it is we actually want, and then we don't have to feel so much guilt around letting other things go, because that is just not the life that we want. And being okay to ask for help when we need it. So I want to go through 4 mindset shifts to help you overcome the overwhelm when you can't do it all, because we can't. We can't do it all. We will struggle trying to keep on top of everything, but we can get better about this and to live where we are feeling more fulfilled by just making these mindset shifts. So number 1, the first mindset shift is to just recognize I don't have time to do everything. And this is not a bad thing. So it's just a fact. We need to actually prioritize our time. So we need to sit down and think about, what are our values? What do we value most in our life? What are the things that I want my life to be filled with. And knowing this will help you to make the best decisions when it comes time to determine where your time is going to be spent. So that is a big one, is just knowing how you want to prioritize your time and what is most important to you. The second mindset shift is to know that I can build routines to save time and energy. When we are planning our time, we need to ensure that we are building those five foundational routines into our life that will help us get organized. And we can also build other routines into our life that aren't those five foundational ones, but we can recognize when other routines are going to be beneficial for us. So, the five foundational routines, if you are new here, are your morning routine, your meal planning routine, your daily 7 home routine, your movement routine, and your budget routine. When you can have a simplified, go to default routine for these areas, it will help you stay on track. It won't feel like you're grasping at straws because you are going to have a solid system in place that when it's time to do those things, you just do it and it can be done in an efficient time frame and you don't have to think about it so much. It almost runs on autopilot where you don't have to think about it. You just have to think about that trigger task to launch you into your routine and then your brain and your body will kind of take over for you because you have repeated it over and over so many times that it just becomes a natural habit. So that is where we want to build those five foundational routines because those apply to everybody. They can get us really organized. Now, in addition to those five foundational routines, you might find that there are other routines that are really beneficial to your life. So maybe this looks like an after school routine or an evening routine or a before dinner routine. Maybe it's an after dinner routine. It might be a nighttime routine of getting yourself or your kids ready for bed. When we can recognize where a routine might be really beneficial, then we can create a routine that just makes things easier. It makes things flow easier and it just creates some structure that we can actually be more efficient and save time. So then it reduces the time we need to spend thinking about these things because we already got a plan. We don't need to worry about it anymore. And then it opens up space in our day to be able to focus on other things that become a priority. So these just help us to continue staying on top of these important things in our life that are necessary. So, those routines can help you save that time and energy. The third mindset shift is to know that I am responsible for prioritizing my self care. And this one, self care is talked about a lot, especially on social media nowadays. But what I'm talking about is not the selfish kind of self-care. I know a lot of people will say that self-care is selfish and that it's not what you think it is, but self-care, when I'm talking about self-care, it's something that is going to make you feel more fulfilled. It's building in that quiet time, that rejuvenation time that you need to really show up for others as your best self. Because when we are focusing on self care, not in a selfish way of, I need this, I deserve this, anything like that, you can come at it in a with a different mindset. You can come at it to know that this is time that you are taking. Maybe it's prayer time, maybe it's Bible time, maybe it is maybe it's just getting a quiet hot bath and just closing your eyes for 10 minutes. It's something to make you feel better so that you can show up for others in a way that is going to not make you feel burned out. Because one of the things that happens to a lot of us, especially with women, is that when we wake up, we are constantly serving others and we are going and being called on in all these different areas, and we prioritize ourselves last. And what happens when we're doing that is we tend to burn out very quickly and we get stressed and we get overwhelmed because we're not doing what we need for ourselves. Maybe this is a walk around the block at lunch, and maybe it is with your kids. It might not even be, you know, by yourself, but it's something that you need to feel more fulfilled. And there is nothing wrong with that because you are going to show up for others better when you do this for yourself. So it's not a selfish thing. It is an important thing that we need to prioritize. And when we are not taking the time to take care of ourselves, not only are we not going to show up as our best selves for other people, but we're also modeling a different behavior for others. So if you have kids that are looking up to you, if you have, nieces or daughters or sisters or friends that see you just burning the candle at both ends, then you're not modeling a self-care routine for them to feel like they can also take care of themselves. So we need to do this for each other because what we want to show is that we are taking the time to take care of ourselves so that we can be the light in the world that is showing up for others. So it is very important. The fourth mindset shift is to know that the week flows better when I create a plan ahead of time. And this one is incredibly important. When we are planning out our week, we need to plan it ahead of time so that we're not being reactive to everything that is being thrown at us. When we can sit down and create a plan for our whole week to understand where we would like our time to go and what feels more important, then we can have that plan so that when we're entering the week, we can feel really good about knowing what's going to happen or how the week is intended to flow. So that way, if something comes up, because life happens, something's going to change. But when we look at that, we can look at our week and say, okay, if this needs to shift, I can flip flop these things around. I can restack here. I can, readjust and put this on Thursday and move what was on Thursday to Saturday. Or I can just decide I need to say no to that because it's not a priority and everything else on my week is more important to stick to. So it gives you more confidence to say no to things that are not a priority. So being able to look at this and plan your week ahead of time just gives you more confidence to not only execute your week the way that you are wanting your week to flow, but it also gives you that permission, in a sense, to say no to other things or to say yes to other things. If you have an opportunity come up that you really want to take that opportunity, then you can decide at that point, like, okay, this is becoming more of a priority this week and I'm going to change some things around. But having that plan in place helps you to do that with more confidence. So when you're looking at planning out your week, I do have episodes on basically all these things that I'm talking about right now, but if you are looking at planning out your week, some things that you want to look at is where your time is being spent, like how your days are going to flow and where you're spending your time. You want to know when you are planning on completing those 5 foundational routines to help you stay organized or any other routines that you have created for yourself. You also are wanting to decide what you're going to have for dinner for each of the days of the week because you don't want to have to decide that ahead of time or the day of. You want to decide that ahead of time. And then once you decide those dinners, you also want to decide when you're going to do your grocery shopping for the week because we don't want to be wasting time by stopping at the grocery store multiple times throughout the week and doing these little shopping trips all throughout the week. We want to just create a plan and we want to stop once so that we can get it done, we can get it over with, and then the rest of the week our time is open where we don't have to stop at the grocery store anymore. We also are wanting to look at scheduling our movement. When are we going to get those walks or workouts or bike rides or whatever type of movement you love? When are we going to get those into our week so that we have the energy and we feel really good? And we're taking care of our bodies. And then the other thing that you want to look at is your additional priorities. So if you are wanting to get other things done, like maybe it is washing the windows. It's springtime or it feels like it's springtime. It's a really nice day today. We're in March in Minnesota. So we still have snow on the ground and everything right now, but it feels a good spring day. Like the sun is out, it feels like warming, like it's warming up. It's kind of muddy out. It feels like spring is coming. So it feels like a good day to wash the windows or to wash bedding or curtains and drapes and mop the floors, do a good deep clean, things like that. It just feels really refreshing. So if there are things like that that you want to get done that are outside of your typical day-to-day routines, then create that list. What are you wanting to do that are your priorities? And I always recommend doing only 3 to 5 of these additional bigger priorities, because if we do too many, we just look at that list and we get overwhelmed and we don't do anything. So we want to keep it short so that we actually complete them so that we can stay on top of these things, because we can spread them out throughout the year when we are doing it this way. So that is something that you just want to look at all of those things. You want to kind of consider that when you're planning out your week. And it does not have to take long to plan out your week. You can sit down with a paper planner or your Google Calendar or even just a piece of paper and just write out what your plan is for the week in these different areas. So I hope this is helpful for you. I hope it kind of gives you something to think about, something to consider when you are feeling really overwhelmed, when you can't do it all. Understand that it is okay, because none of us can do it all. So we don't have time to do everything. We need to choose where our time is going. And I can't tell you what is most important to spend your time on, because you are not me and I am not you. You have to decide what is most important to you and your family. And then you can be really confident about making those decisions when things come up and deciding where you want your time to go and how you want to live your life. So I hope this gives you the permission, not that you need permission, but now you feel like you have permission to make these decisions. So I will recap those 4 mindset shifts to help you overcome that overwhelm when you can't do it all. Is number 1, to understand I don't have time to do everything, and it's okay. Just prioritize what is most important. Number 2 is I can build routines to save time and energy, and understand what routines you need. I would recommend building those 5 foundational routines, and preferably in order if you can, and then any other routine that you might find beneficial for your life. Number 3 is I am responsible for prioritizing my self-care. This is not selfish, it is necessary. And number 4 is the week flows better when I create my plan ahead of time. This is understanding how to be proactive instead of reactive, and feel like you have a plan rather than just grasping at straws, trying to keep up with everything and feeling like you are drowning throughout the week. We want a plan ahead of time so we know what to expect, or at least mostly what to expect when we're going into our week. So, I hope that wasn't too overwhelming. I hope it was encouraging more than overwhelming. And I hope that you take this to heart and really tackle your week and start to create and mold the life that you truly want and that you were meant to live. So, I hope you enjoyed that episode. I will catch you back here on the next one. We have episodes releasing every Monday and Thursday, and I hope you enjoyed. In the meantime, if you would like to join us in our Facebook community, it is a free community and we would love to have you in there. You can find us at facebook.com/groups/the Routine Advantage community.
Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.